Welcome to Niners Coast to Coast. We're your hosts, Grant Cohn, Jason Aponte, and we wear many hats. Jason, while he's a co-host on this show, he is also one of the founding members of the Only Shans Club, which needs no introduction. They're people who really love Kyle Shanahan. Only Shans. Also, he is, for the purpose of this show, the leader of the team, Justin Fields. He thinks the Niners should and will draft Justin Fields. I'm more on the other side that the Niners should and will, not necessarily should. I'm Team Kyle Pitts for the record, but that they're going to take Mac Jones, and that's a better pick than Justin Fields. Let's put it that way. So we're going to show the world that you can have this difference of opinion and still be friends and talk about it in a friendly way, because this particular debate is almost becoming political online. Like people will end friendships over this. So I'm trying to show, be a good example of the right way to maybe do this. I don't know if you want to call it right or not, but I'm going to take Jason through it step by step. Jason.
Yes.
Do you think there's still a possibility the Niners draft Justin Fields? We all know that a lot of big dudes are speculating that the pick is Mac Jones, but there's nothing concrete yet.
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I'm still going to stick to it. You know, whether I'm going to be wrong or not, that's fine, but I'm just going to stick. I'm going to lean in and, continue to do that. And when you start to look at the reports that are coming out this week, people are starting to change their tune, and it kind of just lends itself to what I was telling you. Like, all of these people every week are trying to generate some sort of engagement on their shows. And one week, not you,
it's
but
just
like,
so easy for me.
I'm talking about like, ESPN, Fox Sports, right?
True.
And all the speculation, it's boring for them to say, yeah, we think Justin Fields is going to 3. It riles people up. People get upset. Like you were just talking about, we're going to keep it civil. But when you mention to certain people, and at lesser times, sometimes I find myself getting really upset at the idea of Mac Jones being 3. Right. But now just take a look at these words that are starting to come out now. Somebody on Pro Football Network was like, I'm feeling less and less. I would pump the brakes on the Mac Jones stuff they're saying. So again, it's all just right now speculation. It's good discussion, and it's good for engagement. But yes, I still believe the pick is Justin Fields. The only way the pick isn't Justin Fields is if Justin Fields goes to number 2. That's the way I'll put it.
Which is a possibility. Again,
could be.
No one knows what the Niners are doing, but different people around the league have different theories. And from what I've heard, some people in the league, I guess everyone's kind of incredulous that the Niners would do this for Mac Jones. And there's different theories. It's like, okay, it can't be Mac. It can't be Mac. What if the Jets take Justin Fields and Zach Wilson is there for the 49ers? I could get that. But let's put that aside. You think that there's a possibility it's Justin Fields? I mean, you just made the case why you shouldn't necessarily put stock into the Mac Jones stuff. What has led you to believe that there might be some smoke between, that's the wrong word, but at least some connection, some possibility that it could be Justin Fields?
I mean, just because I've been hearing so much about the Mac thing. And again, we talked about it. We talk about it. The compensation is the reason that I can't get it out of my head that, again, if you're at 3 because you won 4 games and you want to draft Mac Jones, okay, I won't like it, but okay. But to move up, to go and then draft Mac Jones at 3, that's the part that I have a problem with. And I think that all this stuff coming out about, hey, 49ers are linked to Mac Jones, it's throwing people off the scent of what they really want to do. You always want to be flexible in what you're doing. Like the example I'll give you. Remember, everybody was mocking Quentin Williams went to IHOP with the 49ers. Right. He's the pick. He's the pick.
He could have went anywhere. He chose IHOP. What a cool kid.
No one knew.
Went to Morton's.
Yeah. No one knew Trent Williams was going to get traded for. No one knew that they were going to go for Jimmy Garoppolo. No one knew they were trading up. But now you expect me to believe that people know that Mac Jones is the pick. That's where I find my skepticism, and that's what's got me off of it.
That's fair. Let me just say one more question, and then we'll move forward. I'm just in terms of Mac Jones and the upside. I agree. If they take Mac Jones, like, for the only way they could win that trade, he would have to be Drew Brees.
That's what I was going to say. He would have to hit that Drew Brees ceiling. And I have so again, range of possibilities.
It could happen, but
it's there. Doesn't seem likely. That's my
thing. Okay. So you're still holding out hope for Justin Fields, and I get it. Let's just say that they do take Mac Jones, and that Adam Schefter and the other people who are guessing are right. Colin Cowherd was on today or yesterday, and that's a guy who loves Kyle Shanahan, or did in the past, and compared him to, said he was the next Bill Belichick. High praise. Today or yesterday, he said if he takes Mitchell Trubisky, that's like the equivalent of if he takes Mac Jones, it's the equivalent of the Mitchell Trubisky pick, taking Trubisky ahead of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. And if he does that, then he goes into Matt Nagy territory. Would you feel that way, or would you still have some trust and belief in Shanny?
I would, but here's the thing. You take Mac Jones and it kind of sets a doomsday clock timer for you. Now, if you take Justin Fields, I think you get a lot more rope as far as, because of, okay, everybody likes this pick and you get a chance to, you get a chance 2-3 years with him. But if you pick Mac Jones, the seat gets warm because it has to work. I had Guy Haberman on my show yesterday, shameless plug, but
Love Guy Haberman.
Yeah, he's the greatest. Haberman and Middlecoff. Yes, exactly.
Middlecoff's cool too. No, he's not Jewish. No one's perfect.
Middlecoff on his show, and if you guys haven't seen it, when they talked about it, said that he was getting calls from around the league and texts from around the league that said that if Kyle Shanahan chooses Mac Jones, that it would be the most arrogant pick. And I agree with that. I agree with that. That's Kyle saying, "Watch me do this with him."
I'm the smartest person in the league. But again, that's been Kyle since 2007, maybe before that. That's Kyle.
For sure.
That's just who he is.
Yeah. So lose confidence? No, but I understand what that means. When you draft Mac Jones, the clock starts. Now now it's on you now because and people aren't going to want to be patient because you passed on the toolsy guys. So I won't lose confidence, but I know what that means for him, and it's going to set off that doomsday clock of just he better be what you think he's going to be. He better live up to those standards because people are going to come for your head. Honestly.
See, maybe confidence isn't the right word, but I feel like, and you used it with the word rope. I mean, I feel like confidence and rope are similar because if he takes Justin Fields and Fields struggles at first, you'll say, you know what? Wait, I believe it. It was the right pick. Let's not rush to judgment. He's a kid. That's fair. If it's Mac Jones, not just you, dude, everyone, me, all 49er fans, every time he throws a pick, has a bad game, Mrs. Reed can be like, that's the guy who is better than Justin. That's the guy who is pro-ready. Really, Kyle? I mean, I feel like there is a skepticism that Niner fans and only Shans are going to take on that wasn't there before. Like, all right, Kyle, I trust you, but it better work out pretty much right away. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to say some critical things. So that's all I'm saying. He's putting his good standing on the line. It's better be right.
Yeah, I trust Coach, and everybody says this is the year to get his guy. If that's his guy, it better work. And, you're right. There will be some skepticism in my mind about it. But again, he knows better than I do. So, let's see. But again, that sort of clock kind of starts to go because once you pick Mac, people are going to start overanalyzing him. With Justin Fields, people will be willing to sit back in their criticisms because they understand that, hey, give him 2-3 years. He found his guy, and he picked a guy that breaks out of that Kirk Cousins mold. So I think that's where that'll give him that leeway when it comes to that.
Man, if they had the draft in Santa Clara and they picked Mac Jones, it would be like when we were kids and the Eagles drafted Donovan McNabb. Remember the hate they got?
Booed the heck out of him. Yeah.
The hell out of him. Anyway, okay. Let's say something nice about both quarterbacks before we get critical. What is the biggest strength of Justin Fields' game at this point in his career?
2 things: accuracy in a clean pocket, all 3 levels, and his toughness. Sure. And remember, the toughness thing I think is another reason why it's Justin Fields at the pick because again, Kyle's been dealing with injuries from all of his quarterbacks and things like that, and we know about the cracked ribs and we know about all that with Justin Fields. But the toughness part is the last intangible I feel that pushes Fields over the top when it comes to that. So notice that I said from a clean pocket accuracy, right? Because
of course,
there's. And it's tough for other people to do these things, but from a muddy pocket, sometimes it's not as good. And there's numbers to back all that up and stuff. But if you allow Justin Fields to sit in that pocket he's going to pick you apart. So that's accuracy and being able to, decipher defenses from a clean pocket. And then the same thing with the toughness, man. I think those are his 2 biggest strengths.
That's good. I'm going to go with the different strength. Those are strengths for sure. My biggest strength for him is I really think he has high potential upside as a play extender, the way Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson are. I mean, he's such a good deep ball thrower. He likes to hold the ball a little bit longer. He's so fast. I mean, if you get him 3, 4, 5 seconds into the play, that's a problem. And if he has a wide receiver like DK Metcalf someone. I mean, it's like how do you defend all that speed on the field? He's such a playmaker. I think in a certain offense that encourages him to hold the ball and make plays and to follow his instincts in that way, he could be a rookie of the year. He could be an MVP type player like Russell Wilson was. I don't know if he's exactly like Russell Wilson, but I see him as a definite playmaker.
Yeah, and I know you're going to ask for one of his weaknesses, and a little bit of that about extending the play. Sometimes that's the stuff that worries me a little bit. Remember, we've talked about it. I get nervous that because he's so athletically gifted that he tries to do things that, either one will get him hit or two, just be a bad throw, a bad decision, just because he's so athletic. But, you're right about that extending the play thing, which is another reason why it's got to be Justin Fields, right? Because don't tell me that Kyle Shanahan watched Kyler Murray extend plays and beat him by himself because his coach didn't do it. It was him. It was Kyler Murray that was making these things, happen. Same thing with Russell Wilson. Same thing with Josh Allen. That's my thing. It's like he's watching all of these guys when they're moving with their legs, they're extending the play and they're making plays. And that's so tough to defend. You can't ask corners to cover for 4 or 5 seconds. It's impossible.
Especially when you got this guy's cannon to throw it downfield. A lot of people can run around and extend plays, but can they then bomb it 50 yards? Not really. He can.
Yep.
He can.
I agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his biggest strength. What is Mac Jones' biggest strength at this point in his career from your perspective?
Poise in the pocket. He plays from a good pocket, as far as, he's very clean for sure. He's really good at understanding what he's looking at, throws with a lot of anticipation.
Yes.
And he's very poised. It looks like, there's more to quarterback play than tools. And again, this is us being civil. I can talk about Mac Jones in a good way.
Yeah.
There's more to just tools than being a quarterback. And it's more about, that guy's coming right at you, but you still have to put that ball, like quarterback, you got to stand in there and you got to throw the ball. So he understands where to go with it. The anticipation's there. I see that all the time. Yes, he throws a wide open guy sometimes, but you can say that about a lot of people in college as well, but he is really poised in the pocket. I have to give him that. He looks really calm. He looks like he understands exactly where he wants to go with the ball.
Yeah. To me, his strength is the opposite of Justin Fields' strength. What Mac Jones does really well is he gets rid of the ball very fast. He's a distributor. He's not a playmaker. He gets rid of the ball very fast to the right spot, in the right spot, fairly consistently. I mean, he's up there with like Joe Burrow in that sense. Burrow is a better athlete than him. But it's the ability to get the ball out on time to the right spot, in the right spot. That's why I bring up the name Drew Brees. Because when you talk about does Mac Jones have upside? If he can do what he did at Alabama in the pros, then hell yeah. I mean, if his upside is a top-level pocket passer, you want that. College hasn't produced that in a long time, but if he is that and he's that throwback kind of player and he can consistently execute this offense and just distribute the ball quickly to Debo or Kittle on time and in the right spots, then yeah, that's his biggest strength in my opinion. And that's what, to me, separates him from Jimmy. Jimmy just has those 5 or 6 plays a game where he freezes. It's like, what happened, Jimmy? Like, did someone drop the controller? What happened?
I mean, he does get the ball out on time. That's pre-snap stuff too, and understanding that, and yeah, like I said, you'd like to see all of those things. And it is a throwback quality to be good in the pocket. It really is, and it's something that's not sexy anymore. No. It's not what everybody's looking for. But, at the end of the day, quarterback play there's more than one way to skin a cat to be a successful quarterback. And if that's Mac Jones' bag, then that's how he's going to do it. Just don't prefer it just based on the compensation. But again, I can say all these nice things about Mac Jones because I think he is going to be a solid quarterback in this league with a fairly high ceiling, and he could, who knows, that's the beauty of the evaluation process. Nobody would think that the kid from Michigan would be the greatest of all time. Nobody would think that the kid who went to Purdue would be one of the greatest of all time. So that's what makes all of this really fun. So is there a world where Mac Jones hits a ceiling near Drew Brees? For sure. Just on the range of outcomes, how likely is it? And that's really where I struggle with that a little bit.
True. And, in 2019, the 2 leading MVP vote getters, I think, were Mahomes and Drew Brees, who played the position just about as oppositely as you could.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's go critical here. And let's just not the whole list, but just one. What is Justin Fields' biggest weakness at this point in his career, in your opinion? And the context here is every college eligible player except Kyle Pitts has weaknesses.
I agree with you, man. This Kyle Pitts train it's left the station.
Yes, it has.
So Look, I kind of talked about it. With
Oh, yeah.
Justin Fields, when you understand that you can make plays outside of the structure and you can make these amazing, dazzling throws, sometimes it's best for you to live to play another down. Sometimes those throws in college, they get hit. Sometimes they don't get hit in the NFL. If it's, safeties are better. Game's faster. So what I want to see is I want to see more of, what? It's not there, throw it away. Or you know what? It's not there, get down. I don't want to see you taking hits, and I don't want to see
his
you
bad
forcing
moments against Indiana were like, okay, that should be a sack. Now it's an interception. You didn't need to do that. Just take the sack.
Right.
Throw it away. Yep,
Either take the sack or throw it away or anything like that. Like, again, I'm not going to knock the kid because he is so gifted and he thinks that he can make a play. And I like that confidence. You want that. You don't want the guy who's going to take it safe every single time. Even as good as Aaron Rodgers is, there's so many times that he's just like, he looks and he's just like, I'm throwing it away because he doesn't want to throw an interception or anything like that. But man, like maybe work the play a little bit longer, so there's a fine line to it. But Justin Fields really needs to work on that, in my opinion. I don't want to see him taking hits, and I don't want to see him forcing throws because in the NFL, those throws that were catches in college either land incomplete or worse, an interception in the hands of, the prime athletes in this league.
That's coachable, though. I think that's like experience.
That's my thing.
I mean, that's experience. It's coachable. But for me, his biggest weakness and why I think I question the fit for the 49ers, or not the fit, at least Kyle Shanahan's willingness to coach him, is the quick game. I think he's great throwing down the field. He's great extending the play. But if you want him to get the ball out in less than 2 seconds, or there's a blitz and he needs to shorten up his stroke, that's not necessarily his strength. It's just not. And there's so much quick game in the Niners offense. There's so much RPO, screen, yada, 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 that I can see Kyle looking at dinky little Mac Jones and being like, yeah, well, his screen down the line of scrimmage was just better than Justin Fields. Well, yeah, but you're the only coach who cares, So I would just say the quick game.
Yeah, and I mean that's good. That's part of the reason why I think he's a great fit is just those defined reads are going to be there.
Yeah.
We talked about it. Guys are always running open. It's just a matter of the quarterback finding them. And then when you're running those RPOs, you're attacking all four principles. So it's really tough for defenders to grasp on that. So again, kind of making my point here a little bit with Fields. So I like it. Even with the weakness, they, like you said, it could be coached, and that's what I'm thinking about as well.
No doubt. All right, let's do Mac Jones' biggest weakness at this point in his career.
I want to say deep ball, but
okay.
But what I mean by that is contested deep balls.
Sure.
Like a lot of the throws are like guys, who have a step and are wide open, and he gets the ball there accurately. I just don't know that you are going to see that in the league. Doesn't matter where he lands so much. So you're going to have to make those contested downfield throws. Can you do that consistently? Right? Because it has to come from the pocket. He's not going to be able to roll out and buy himself a little bit of time to get to those things. So you've got to be able to sit in that pocket, hope that you have time and be able to go up top. That's the part that I don't know if he'll be able to do in the league, but he does throw in anticipation. And if he continues to become smarter when it comes to pre-snap recognition, knowing exactly what the concept's calling for and understanding where to go with the ball, then that can be fixed. I just don't know if, when you watch Alabama, he's sitting back there in clean pockets, and guys are running wide open. I'm not going to knock him for that. That's just it's a testament to Steve Sarkisian and their pro style offense. And the talent around him, Devontae Smith, the Heisman winner, Waddle, all those guys. But I just want to see him do it. Maybe if he falls to a team that is not as loaded as far as on the scale of Alabama, like Alabama's loaded for college football. I'm talking about, will he go to a team in the NFL that's loaded in terms of in comparison to Alabama and everybody else, right? I don't know if that's the case. Yeah. So he's going to have to do some heavy lifting for a little while if he goes to a team that was struggling. Like, let's just say Carolina. And I don't think that it would be that, even though Matt Rule, fawned all over him and everything. But if it's Carolina, they're still a team that's building and they have pieces. But you've got to, he's going to have to do a little bit of the heavy lifting. They got McCaffrey and DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. But I just worry that, when there's not elite talent around him, can he do the heavy lifting? And that's really what, like with the deep ball, that's kind of what I'm talking about. But really the biggest concern would probably be that. Can you lift up other players? Are you that guy that can lift them up and get them playing better?
See, I think what Kyle would say to that is, well, on my team, he wouldn't have to. Brandon Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, he's got serious players. Well, we got a great running game. But what I would say to Kyle, and this is, I think, Mac Jones' biggest weakness, is he gives you nothing off schedule. He gives you nothing if the play breaks down. Now, he's not as slow as Brady, but he runs a 4.8, which is fine. I mean, Mahomes runs a 4.8. But when he breaks the pocket, our defense is scared. Is he going to throw the ball off platform down the field? No. Is he going to hurt you in any way outside the pocket. Now, he's not as bad as Jimmy outside the pocket. He's a little bit better, but he really doesn't he doesn't scare you outside. You want him outside the pocket. Run.
Right.
Hold the ball longer, Mac.
If he's comfortable back there, he's gonna get you. And and that goes for a lot of quarterbacks, but he really needs the offensive line to give him time because, like you just said, he's not gonna do anything out of structure.
Right, and that's not exactly what the Niners have here. So he's gonna have to really be Drew Brees, dude. He's gonna have to be Drew Brees, Tom Brady. You got to be so good in getting the ball out of your hands and finding the right receiver every time. Because if you don't, then you're gonna get smacked. You're gonna get hurt. Durability is gonna be. You're gonna be Jimmy Garoppolo. End of story.
So that's interesting too, because I forget where I read that somebody said those exact words about, he really wasn't hit in college, anything like that. And does he have durability issues? Yeah. That someone said they could consistently see him being a guy who's injured, not out all the time, but somebody who's always dealing with something. And that's a valid concern. It very much is. The
only way a non-athlete at quarterback protects himself is by being a quick, good decision maker. And that's not Jimmy. And that's why he's hurt all the time. It is Drew Brees. That's why he played until he's 50, and Tom Brady as well. So, I mean, you can protect yourself that way, but you got to be that good. And we don't know. College football hasn't produced a guy like that in almost 15, 20 years. David says, I see Shanahan want 90% of his pass plays executed as designed, maybe 10% QB improv. Maybe that thinking will determine his choice.
That is. I mean, honestly, so look, but that doesn't necessarily, I don't think that necessarily pigeonholes like Mac as the pick, but I agree with that sentiment of 90 and 10. The 10% is just Kyle saying, I don't want to have to be perfect with every single play call. Like, can you bail me out a little? Can you bail me out when things happen? Or if like,
I know I'm damn good, but I can't be perfect.
somebody whiffs on a block. I need you to get out of the pocket, and I need you to like make a throw, so that, or do something with your legs to extend drives. And I agree, it's probably 90 to 10%, but that wouldn't scream Mac Jones to me, even though I agree with that sentiment.
Niners have arguably the best supporting cast in the league, sir. Just saying, LOL. Not that I want. I'm also saying, yeah, but the O-line is a little bit different, relatively speaking.
And what I mean by that is, honestly, with Alabama has like top 1-2 guys at their position. Devontae Smith won the Heisman. I love Brandon Ayuk. He's not a top 1-2 receiver. George Kittle is a top 1-2 tight end. They have a great supporting cast. But in terms of top level talent, Alabama has top 5 guys at many positions. And that's what I
think
mean.
about it relatively. Like maybe Brandon Ayuk is better than Devontae Smith, but in college against college defenses, it's a way bigger talent advantage. NFL, everyone in the NFL is really good. It's all it's parity. All right, 2 more questions.
Yep.
They're similar. Let's say the pick is Mac. If that's the case, do you think he will beat out Jimmy Garoppolo in training camp?
I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo makes it to training camp if that's the case. I don't know, honestly. I think all right. So
that's a good answer. Explain.
Hear me out. So if it's Mac, the pick is redundant to what is going on, with the quarterback's position. For me, that really doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of having Jimmy and Mac. I mean, there's nothing that Mac's going to learn from Jimmy, I don't think. It doesn't strike me as somebody that's going to like take him under his wing, and try to explain stuff to him.
But let's just say the Niners want Mac to win the job as opposed to be handed the job because Jimmy was handed it or whatever. Let's just hypothetically say that's what they want. And there is a quarterback competition. Maybe I'm just rooting for it. I want to cover a quarterback competition. I want a quarterback competition. I'm going to speak into existence, assuming it's going to happen because I say so. Who wins? Who wins?
Jimmy or Mac?
Jimmy or Mac?
I think Jimmy does.
I think he does.
Just because, money.
He does too.
Money, right? Again, we talked about it. He makes what he makes. You're trying to boost his trade value. If he loses a quarterback competition in camp to Mac, you get nothing. Or you get way less than you could have. So that's the part. And also, I have a hard time thinking that Mac Jones is just going to come right in and be what changes, or changes his team's fortunes, right? Because injuries was the reason for the most part that this team struggled last year. I have a hard time believing that he would just come right in and he would just solve all those problems.
He couldn't beat out Tua in college. I mean, he was a 1-year starter in college. He does some very nice things, but who's to say he's going to beat out healthy Jimmy Garoppolo, 29-year-old Jimmy Garoppolo.
Or angry Jimmy Garoppolo.
Angry Jimmy Garoppolo, guy who's been in the system for about 5 years, might finally have it down. Who knows? One of these decades he might get it, but I think Jimmy can beat him out. I think Mac Jones may have upside as a pocket quarterback, but his first offseason with the Niners, all those words, new players, doesn't have the chemistry he's had, could be tough. I think Jimmy might win that competition. I'm with you on that.
I agree too. I agree. I mean, and not just based off the money also. I just think he might be better.
At least now. Tony B says the most damning evidence against Mac Jones is Devontae Smith winning the Heisman at the most dependent position in football. All of college football knew why Bama won games, and it wasn't Mac Jones. Something to that. There's also Najee Harris in the backfield, who's so
loaded roster. This is what I'm talking about. Najee Harris is a top 1, 2, 3 running back in college. Like that. So the supporting cast is the part that has me hesitant on Jones as well.
And there's some people that feel Jalen Waddle's better than Smith.
There are a lot of people that feel that. I don't know if I feel that yet. I mean, I might have to drink a little bit more to feel that, but I mean, I see the sentiment.
That'd be one hell of a feeling. Okay. Let me get that last comment, and then we'll get to our last question.
All right.
Coach says, funny, every quarterback gets scouted with anticipation of what they can be outside of Mac. Like he's just not going to grow. Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance all sit the bench at Bama too. Hey, man, those are some good points. I think like what I'm saying is I think people have a overly reduced definition of what upside is. It's not just athleticism. There's other ways to I mean, look at Tom Brady and Drew Brees. So I think there is upside with Mac Jones if you believe he can get there. It's just that college doesn't produce those quarterbacks anymore. They produce the athletes, at least the last 10, 15 years, which is kind of
Yep.
But maybe Steve Sarkisian's got something brewing. Raymond Martinez says, assuming Fields is gone at 3, who has more upside, Wilson or Lance?
Well, who
we
would
don't
go
talk about
2?
Lance at all.
Would Kyle Pitts go at 2?
Assuming Fields is gone at 3. Yeah. So
Kyle Pitts goes at 2, and Grant is through the roof.
No, he's saying Fields is gone at 3. So Fields goes 2, and the Niners don't want. Okay, look. Look. Raymond's the premise is a little off, but let's just ask the second part of the question.
Mm-hmm.
More upside, Wilson or Lance? We haven't talked about Lance once on the show. He's an interesting case considering he did all the stuff that he did when he was 19. We haven't seen him since. So what do you think?
As far as upside goes, you know what I notice sometimes when I see Zach Wilson throw the ball, I see like Aaron Rodgers' tendencies and the way he throws, and I think when you speak about it in terms like that, I think it's Wilson.
Okay.
And, another thing, BYU's offensive line was really good. I think the Coastal Carolina game was the only game that he really had a lot of pressure in his face, and I thought he handled it really well, honestly. And they were hitting him after the play was over and really trying to get in his head. And I thought that he actually performed really well from a toughness standpoint, right? Like you could tell that the Coastal Carolina knew this was their shot to mess up the Golden Boy, and they were going for it in the, and you know what? It's dirty, but I understand the sentiment of like make him feel you, like hit him. And I thought he performed well in that game.
Because I'm sure they told their players probably, dude hasn't been touched all season, man. Let's see if he likes it.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So that's the part that I needed to see, I think, because he throws from so many clean pockets. But I think it's Zach. And look, I love Trey Lance. You know that. I do. I love Trey. I just, I don't know if he's in the discussion for 3. He could be. And I wouldn't be mad at him at 3. What
about Lance or Fields? Who has more upside?
Oh, it's Fields. I got Fields over Lance. But I wouldn't be upset.
In terms of upside. Fields?
Yeah.
Fields.
In terms of upside.
Just in terms of upside.
It's Fields.
Okay.
It's Fields. But Lance has one
the
of
accuracy.
The most, yeah, for sure. That's the thing, for me. And the thing is with Trey is his ceiling is massive, and then the comps are there. It's just, again, what you said, one game last year, hasn't played, in a while, things like that. What I will say for this, what I will say about him, pre-snap, he's very good, very smart for a 19-year-old kid. Very smart. Yes. I get it. Run first offense, all that stuff, kind of just feels exactly how San Francisco runs their offense with the people that are under center. So I could see the fit. But in terms of who is, right now giving me the higher ceiling vibes is probably Justin Fields, is probably Zach Wilson. Trey Lance is right there. But Trey Lance, there's a world that Trey Lance could be the number 1 quarterback at the end of the day. So
absolutely. It was interesting watching. You watch all his film and you forget that was 2 years ago and he's 19. And then you watch him at his pro day and you're like, oh, dude's been lifting. He's different.
He's huge. Yeah.
He's big.
Yeah.
Keith Murphy says, no way Mac is the pick. I won't believe it until I see it. It would be pure arrogance. A pure pocket passer hasn't hit in a decade. Look, I agree with everything in that comment except for the first sentence. You won't believe it until you see it. Yep.
Yep.
Pure arrogance. Yep. Pure pocket passer has hit in a decade. Yep. No way Mac is the pick. You don't know Kyle Shanahan, baby. I kind of hope he is the pick. I just want to see Niner fans.
I mean, you just
go
want
through.
chaos. Just say you want
Hell
chaos.
yeah, I want
Yeah.
chaos. I love chaos. But I just think it'd be hella funny too to see Niner fans be so mad and then in an hour be like, you know
You have
what?
to talk yourself into it.
You know what?
Yep.
I'm gonna ride with Kyle.
Yeah.
Thanks, Keith. Appreciate you, man. All right, last topic. Same as before. If the Niners draft Justin Fields and they keep Jimmy and have a training camp battle just for all of our entertainment, who wins that one?
Fields, but they trade Jimmy first before they make a decision about him winning. Like, they'll never put it out there that he won.
Okay.
They'll never put that out there that he won. They got to move Jimmy though before that. They cannot let him lose that quarterback battle.
Fair.
If you have to go to them and say, now, and I've got a sneaky feeling day 2 is when you're going to see the Jimmy move happen.
Okay. For a pick this year or a pick next year?
It depends on what they want. I would love a pick this year, but I don't think you're going to, you'll already be in day 2. So you're missing a first, so again, we talked about it, conditional first with a second, something like that, but I would think it's a pick for next year, based off of that. So I just have a sneaky feeling that day 2 is going to be the day that you see the movement with Jimmy Garoppolo, whether that's New England or whether that's Chicago, Washington, one of those teams. I think that's when you actually see the movement. But if you're asking me in a competition, and this is, look, you can call me biased because I love Justin Fields and I think he's great, but I just think in terms of what he offers, as far as what he does differently from Jimmy Garoppolo, is going to be too hard to ignore, and he would actually be the one who wins. But again, you can't tell the world Justin Fields beat Jimmy Garoppolo in a quarterback competition and then turn around and try to trade him. So that's my hesitance with that.
That's a good point. I'm going to go with Jimmy again, and I'm down on Jimmy. But the only reason, and it's not because I'm down on Justin, it's just I feel like, people make a big deal out of Mac Jones's lack of experience, and it's real. But I think it's real for Justin Fields too. He's played more games. He's completed 10 more passes.
We talked about that. If experience is a concern for Trey Lance, then it's got to be for everybody else.
Everyone. Much. And I think it is. Much. Even Zach Wilson, I'm not necessarily certain Zach Wilson would just step on the field and beat out Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe he'd take the job by week 8. I mean, Jimmy is prone to give it away by week 2. You never know. But if Jimmy's healthy, he's got the advantage of just reps in this offense. In this offense, it could help him just in those 2-3 weeks of training camp in August. So I think they get rid of Jimmy, I get it. But if they keep him, I could see it being that they're just not 100% certain that any quarterback they take at 3 is going to be ready to go right away.
I mean, and that's a good sentiment. I had voiced that I thought that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be the starter no matter who they pick. But I don't know, something feels weird now. I think it's been too quiet on his front. Again, nobody knows.
Yeah, that is a good point. It almost feels like he hasn't congratulated any teammate about any contract extension. It almost feels like there's something's been said behind closed doors. Like, hey, you just be quiet. I'll be quiet. We got an arrangement. I don't know what the arrangement is, but it almost feels like, hey, yeah, if you just say nothing, don't request a trade, don't lower your value. We'll take care of you by X date.
Right. And last year around this time, they were all in Nashville, and he was throwing to Trent Taylor, to George Kittle, to Deebo Samuel, all those things.
He was Mr. Team Captain. Now he's like MIA.
I don't know, man. It's just too quiet.
That's really
too quiet.
I came to that conclusion last night. I'm glad you brought it back up. That, I think, is probably the most important thing. Mm-hmm. His silence says a ton because it's uncharacteristic. It's totally uncharacteristic.
Absolutely.
Well, I think. Oh wait, we got a bunch. All right.
Questions, yeah. I'll figure.
All right, my bad. Do we get Trey? Yeah, Trey. I think it's possible the Niners realize they jumped the gun by moving up to 3 and will trade out of it and settle for one of the 3 quarterbacks who fall. That's an interesting game.
That's a dangerous game.
That assumes that Kyle Shanahan is like me. Like, I'm the person who changes my mind. Like, Kyle doesn't change his mind. Kyle is.
I think so. Again, had Guy Haberman on, and he says, I think the pick's in for 5 weeks. Now, whether that's Max, he's like, no, whether that's
what Schefter's saying.
Yeah, whatever you think it is, it's already been made, the decision. But there's only 3 people that know. So, like you said, I don't think Kyle's apt to just say, well, we've got 21 days to the draft. You know what? No. Yeah, let me think about this. No, let's switch this around.
Actually, I changed my mind. No.
Absolutely right. Kyle Shanahan has his guy. He already knows who it is. Now, who is it? We're going to find out.
Yeah, we will. Scott says Warner traded to the Jets for the 2nd pick. Jets take 3rd pick and take Fields. Niners take Wilson. Calling it now. So a pick swap, including Warner, man, that's expensive.
Scott, I mean,
That's
I don't know, man.
That's
For one pick,
for one, that's a lot.
That's
You
a
should be able
lot.
to get that done for like the second rounder.
You should be able to get to number 1. Like, you should be able to talk to them, and you should be able to talk to the Jags and say, go get Trevor Lawrence for that, I would think.
I agree. Barry Baller 18 says, when talking about Mac Jones, I hear his ceiling is Cousins. That's been my comp, but do you see a chance he could be between Eli and Peyton talent-wise? See, the way I look at it is like, I think his most likely projection is Kirk Cousins. His ceiling might be better than Kirk Cousins. I mean, Kirk Cousins never played as well as Mac Jones did. Now, he didn't play at Alabama. That's the thing. Everyone plays great at Alabama. Which quarterback didn't play great at Alabama?
Look, this is that's true. Which one? Not many.
Not many.
So the good thing. So here's the thing with Kirk Cousins. I understand his fan base doesn't like him because he, we talked about it. He's a dork, but man, he's been really good the last 2 years, man. And I don't know, like I think he gets disrespected sometimes when you guys talk about like his ceiling is Cousins. That's not bad. Ceiling, Cousins throws for 4,000 yards.
Right. So you're saying he's a top 10 quarterback in the league? Like that's actually
right. Like, is that such a bad thing? All right. So what I'll say is the Eli Manning one is really interesting. That's not my comp though. I've seen it floated out there and it made me think a little bit. But I'll say that the Matt Ryan thing has a lot too. Has a lot to do with the comp as well. So is there a world where Mac Jones becomes, high level Matt Ryan, high level Kirk Cousins, maybe even Eli Manning? That's not bad, man. That's not bad at all. It's just not warranted with the 3rd pick and what you pushed up to get for him.
True. But I could hear Kyle saying, like, look at Drew Brees, for example. I mean, in San Diego, was he a Hall of Famer? No.
Nope.
No. But all of a sudden you put him on an offense with a great coach and some playmakers, boom. Yep. So maybe Kyle says, look, I mean, Mac Jones isn't great. If you put him on the wrong team took him. It might not work out. But on my team, with I know it'll work. And I respect that he at least has strong opinions like
conviction.
That.
He just, I'll give him that too. He's not a waffler.
No, I'm the waffler. As a FL faithful, I'm confused how Fields and Mac are rated better than Trask. Help me out, because we can swing Pitts and Trask in this draft. Easy. You're preaching to the choir. Jason, go ahead, because I don't even see why Mac Jones is better than Kyle Trask. I don't. In terms of the pocket passers.
It's an interesting discussion. Marcus Spears brought it up on NFL Live.
Oh, he did?
Like,
good.
Yes.
Good
and he's like, and if you're talking about Mac Jones, he goes, I don't understand why you're not talking about Kyle Trask in the same way.
Thank you.
What
would Kyle Trask have done in Alabama? Why would he? I mean, he did great at Florida.
So I mean, it was an interesting discussion. With Kyle Trask comps, like a Big Ben type, very much just a big guy in the pocket. You might not be able to bring him down. It's just his arm worries me, because some of those balls they float out there and they're just not going to get there. And Kyle Pitts is a hell of a target to throw the ball to. And Kadarius Toney is good as well. Like, so
Grimes and Van Jefferson, and
they've got some guys over there. So with Kyle Trask, again, if we're talking about limited ceiling with Matt Jones, then you kind of have to even drop that a little bit more with Kyle Trask, just because, again, traditional pocket passer, big guy. So is there a world where Kyle Trask? Didn't mean to say it like that. If Kyle Trask becomes, one of the better quarterbacks of this draft, sure.
I think there is,
but you didn't move up to 3 to take Kyle Pitts.
No, you didn't. But I think the reason no one talks about Trask is he lost his last 3 games this season. And the last game was
in that bowl game. And that's what I'm saying. That bowl game is stuck in everybody's mind. Yes. That's the last thing that you see.
But that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be like a terrible NFL player. And I think another thing about it is he ran a 5.2 at his pro day. Like Mac Jones ran a 4.8. He really isn't the prototypical. He's not what anyone's looking for. Maybe a couple of teams. But that doesn't mean he won't be good in the NFL. I really think if you like Mac Jones, you've got to be honest and realize that Trask is good in all those same exact things. Like, gets the ball out quick and on time? Yup. Gets the ball downfield in the right place? Yup. I mean, so it's a scheme fit too. You can't ask to move him out of the pocket at all. He's got to be Big Ben. He's got to be Peyton Manning. So we'll see if he can hit that. Killer Cam says, Killer Cam, nice. Fields scored above a 130 on the Goldman aptitude test. Thank you, Mark Sanchez. Mahomes and Allen scored below a 110. Fields can learn the playbook way faster than people are giving him credit for. Who said he can't learn the playbook?
No, well, I mean, I think that really just points to, because of the work ethic stuff that's come out, and the nonsense about like how he doesn't want it. Like I think that really lends more to the other side of that. And again, we're talking about the bare bones Shanahan offense. We're not talking about the whole shebang. So that's why I never had a problem with him learning the playbook. But now this doesn't necessarily just make it seem like, okay, just throw him the whole book and let him get it. But I think that it indicates that he has a better opportunity to learn, to eat the whole meal when it comes to the playbook and really understand it on all the levels. It's really more verbiage. The passing concepts are similar across the league. They're just called different things, you know. And then remember, we talked about it. You know, I was lucky enough to get my hands on the install. The play calls are long. You have to start with the personnel, then you start with the package, and then you get to the play. And it's just like you can spend a good 5 seconds 22XY, but boom, 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 like trying to run off the plays. And then remember, like in those 2-minute situations about being able to make your checks and your calls,
yes,
you got to be able to make sure that everybody's on the same page with that. So it's more verbiage than anything that everybody should be concerned with. So, I mean, I like this because it is putting him in the light of, okay, the kid's smart and he can learn things. It's just more about, I like that it's going against the grain with the narrative that he doesn't want it, or it's work ethic, or there's character issues or anything like that, because the kid's smart and he's not like that. I just don't understand we know where that's coming from, but we're not going to address that right now. But it's good for me. I like it, but does it necessarily mean that he can just go ahead and eat the whole playbook? No, but I feel better about it.
Yeah. Like when I said that his big weakness is the quick game, I wasn't saying he's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't saying it's not a smart issue. To me, that's a reaction. It's like, how long does it take your brain to see it and then trigger? It's a reaction thing. I mean, I would imagine there are people who have low IQs who can do that expertly, and people who have high IQs who can't freaking do it under pressure. Like Nick Mullins, for example. I'm sure he's great in the meetings. On the field, he had some issues. He turned the ball over. So it's not necessarily an IQ thing. I mean, I'm great. It's good that he's smart and that'll help him learn the offense. But as you said, that's part of it. The other part is just kind of like an athletic reaction. Hold on. I'm trying to let you go, and people keep giving me money.
You're good. I'm chilling. My daughter's got the iPad, so I'm good.
Trey says, "Have you seen Chris Sims' top 5 quarterbacks in this draft?" Yes, he's been dead on with his top 5 QBs the past 4 years. Do you trust his rankings? I don't trust Trevor Lawrence ahead of Zach Wilson. I can't get behind that.
I trust him. I understand what he's saying. The Kellen Mond thing over Justin Fields, I don't agree with at all. Yeah, I know, Grant. That's why he trusts it, But a lot of people didn't like the Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen stuff. They really didn't, and sometimes it takes a little while to be right. If you would have asked, if you would have looked at that first year with Josh Allen and said, look, Chris Sims, look how bad, or his second year, look how bad. It took year 3 for him to actually be right. So that's what I think you need to keep in context when it comes to these quarterback rankings. Kellen Mond could come out his first year, struggle. Year 3, it clicks. And then you look back at the rankings and you were like, man, he nailed it. So I trust it. I like his thought process. I may not agree with it, but I see the points. At least he's not saying some nonsense like Ian Book is ahead of Justin Fields or anything like that. No, he's not.
Okay.
I'm just saying that, I can see his points and I do trust his analysis and I don't dismiss anything. I'll listen to anything that forces me to think, even if at the end of my thought process, I still don't agree. I can at least see your point. So I trust it, and I think that he really believes that. He wants to get a GM job. So he's not sitting there saying stuff for clicks or anything like that. I mean, yes, it's for clicks, but his reputation is on the line when he puts these things out there. So I'll say that.
He's not swayed by consensus. He has a good track record, and he shows his work.
Yep.
He's not just like, these are the guys. It's not like, well, someone told me and I don't know why. I have a good. No, he really, really explains it. So I like to get a different perspective, and it seems like he's at least hot now. Maybe he'll
stealing your stuff, man.
He's just hitting seven. He's stealing
your stuff, man, with the Kellen Mond stuff. That's all you, bro.
Yeah, he reads my stuff clearly. Hold on. YOLO says, I think the 2 best scenarios is Kyle Pitts at 3, Najee or Kellen Mond at 43. Oh my God. Or trade up for Najee Harris, because imagine defending that. Yeah, I mean, look, there's 2 schools of thought. You need your quarterback to make everyone better, or you have everyone make your quarterback better. And at Alabama, that they do the second thing. And it seems to work for them because they have these NFL backups who win Heisman's over there and national championships. I do feel that. I don't know about Najee Harris. I don't have a strong opinion. I haven't watched a lot of Najee. He's a Bay Area dude. I know he's good.
Bay Area. I was about to say that. That's like
I don't know if he's like the best running back to come out the last 10 years. I do think that Kyle Pitts is the best tight end to come out since I can remember. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like if Jimmy Garoppolo, God forbid, could stay healthy and you gave him Kyle Pitts and Najee Harris, he'd be pretty good.
I honestly have a sneaking feeling that the 49ers are going to draft a running back. I don't know, at 43. I don't know if 43, but
Maybe 10 something. Could be.
If it's 43, there's probably going to be Javonte Williams from North Carolina, and I would be through the roof, honestly. So the comp that I see with him is Nick Chubb, and what I mean by that is one of the best runners with the ball in his hands, and he's a monster. He's huge. And I think that this team, what they're lacking is they're lacking a guy who can take the ball 16, 17, 18 times and still continue to play. So that's my thought process on it. Look, I know, people are going to yell at me saying, man, you never take a running back that high. But let's just look back at the track record with Kyle Shanahan. Paid Jerick McKinnon, way more money than anybody was willing to do that. Brought back Tevin Coleman, drafted Tevin Coleman in Indiana, drafted Joe Williams.
Let's go further back. He drafted, his dad drafted Clint Portis in round 2. Clint Portis.
I just think that the narrative of that Kyle loves undrafted free agents. No, he just hits on them. He'll always bring in those undrafted free agents, but that doesn't mean that he won't spend draft capital on them. So that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I would love to see Javonte Williams take this thing with 16, 17 touches like Nick Chubb and have Mostert be that home run guy. Where it's like maybe 8 to 10 touches, but it's when the defense is super tired and Kyle has figured out where to attack, and he can take those to like those 10-yard gains and 10, 15-yard gains and turn them into 30, 40, maybe even tutties. Like that's where I see like Mostert needs to be with someone. He can't continuously take the brunt.
And Jeff Wilson Jr. has his own injury issue, so someone more durable. It seems that if they take a running back at 43, it could be Javonte Williams. You said his name was Michael Carter.
Michael Carter, I love him too, man.
Travis Etienne.
Etienne, maybe. You know what? If it was, all right. So I'm gonna
maybe Harris. So there's one of 4 guys. They could get one of the top dudes.
Right. If it's my pick from the 4, and I know everybody loves Najee and I know everybody loves Etienne, it's probably Javonte for me. Just watching him and just like I said, I think the 49ers lack that like straight up running back, ball in his hands, like trying to, not trying to trick you or anything like that. Just runs well with the ball like Nick Chubb does. Like Nick Chubb is one of the top 1, 2, 3 running backs with the ball in his hands, pure running back. And that's what I think the 49ers could use. And he catches the ball very well, actually, too. He's not like he can't. But the 49ers have been lacking that. They've been getting by with these 3-man committees, but the injuries continue to pile up. If Javonte Williams comes in and he's able to be a rock for them to lock in the 15 touches, changes the dynamic of this offense.
Well, I don't know if the Niners will move up in round 2 for any of these running backs, but if one or more of them fall to 43, I could see the Niners pulling the trigger on a running back at that spot.
For sure.
Denise says, Colin said it best. If Kyle drafts Mac Jones, he is drafting the next Trubisky, and Kyle will lose all respect and will be looking for a job in 3 years. Yeah, people are going to have no patience for him, man. They're not going to be like, hey,
not Mac.
Mac struggled as a rookie. Give him another couple of years. No, man, you got to be right.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be right. And that's the problem with trying to be the smartest person in the room. There's just not a lot. People are like waiting for you to be wrong.
It's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's ours. Wait, nope. Just as soon as we tried, Dizify said that's not.
Yep, Etienne is the best in the draft. I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Niner by Nature says Justin Fields' deficiencies are fixable. Imagine in camp, Jimmy G looking to his left and seeing Justin Fields with his shirt off, yoked out, throwing darts all over the field. He will request a trade. That was a really good comment to go out.
I mean, he's not wrong. He is not wrong.
Look, if we're just scouting quarterbacks based on the way they look with their shirt off, I gotta say Trey Lance is the number 1 quarterback on my board.
He is like an Adonis, man. My God, he's only 20-something, man. Good God, bro.
Dude, you just lifted weights nonstop during the pandemic, huh? That's all you did. All
I could never.
Yeah, I could never either. Yep. Hey, thanks, Niner by Nature. Thanks, everyone. Please stop donating because the show is ending. We're leaving now. Jason, it's been a great time. I always look forward to these shows with you every week, man. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you, Grant, as always, bro.
You too, man.